Call sign, Ghostbird. They laughed when they heard it. Not a quiet chuckle. Not polite confusion. But full-bellied, mockery-soaked laughter that echoed through the comms like it was a performance. The lead pilot of the Zenthian Spearhead Formation, the third apex Talon, spat the syllables like a punchline. Ghostbird? What is that, some Terran nursery myth? A scared wingless hatchling? His wingmen joined in, voices chittering in that sharp, insectoid cadence that sounded like a blender trying to chew through metal. The human pilot in question didn't answer. She never did. Eshra Cade was her real name. But the galaxy only knew her by one word. Ghostbird. And while the aliens laughed, while they loaded their warships and counted kills on their hulls like trophies, they never once asked why she was called that. They never asked what happened to the other fleets that had mocked her name. Or why their black boxes never transmitted anything but a single final message. Unidentified object approaching. Too fast. Systems? And then nothing but silence. 12 hours earlier, near the Valtan Rift. The UTS Sentinel Gate had been lost for 3 days. It was supposed to be a routine patrol. 1 carrier, 2 cruisers, a handful of deep-range scouts. But then the ship vanished somewhere near the Valtan Rift, a stretch of distorted spacetime so volatile most charts simply marked it NO navigation zone. No calls for help. No wreckage. No survivors. But the Terran Defense Coalition knew who had done it. And they knew who to send. Fleetcom audio record, Terran Command Deck, Earth Orbit. Pilot Cade. You're being reactivated under Protocol Black Sky. Acknowledged. Mission objectives. Intercept, identify, annihilate. You're cleared for unrestricted engagement. Understood. Your target is the Zenthian Apex Talon. They've taken 3 systems in the last cycle. Now they've tested our borders. How many ships? 17 capital class, 33 support, unknown drones. Then I'll need full graph pulse authorization. Granted. Ghostbird, make this one loud. I don't do loud. I just do clean. The Zenthian Apex Talon, 3 systems deep. To understand the Zenthians, you needed to understand how apex predators viewed prey. They didn't hate humans. They didn't even consider them worth hating. To the Apex Talon, humanity was still climbing the food chain. Their ships were bulky. Their tactics, primitive. Their refusal to use biowarfare was seen as quaint. But they respected one thing, dominance. And to them, dominance meant striking without warning. Cracking open carriers. Watching life signatures blink out by the thousands. They hadn't lost a single battle in 5 years. Then they intercepted a human signature. Just one, piercing through their outer perimeter, heading straight for their core formation. Zenthian Warbridge, Apex Talon Command. Commander Skrixtal watched the long-range scanners as a human signal blinked into range. Just one, he hissed. The comms officer, a smaller drone cast, confirmed. Yes, Apex. A single human strike craft. Designation unknown. Skrixtal laughed, his mandibles clicking in amusement. They send a message, not a fleet. Arrogant little mammals. Transmit a wideband taunt. I want her trembling before I kill her. She wasn't trembling. Inside the cockpit of the UTS Vesper, Eshra Cade didn't move a muscle as her ship's systems registered hostile pings from every side. 39 enemy ships. Surrounding her. Taunting her. A lesser pilot would have turned back. Called for reinforcements. Negotiated. Ghostbird just leaned back and murmured. Hello again, silence. The first kill didn't come with a shot. It came with confusion. The nearest Zenthian corvette tried locking weapons. The moment it did, its guidance system crashed. Its engines cycled backwards, venting raw plasma through the main fuselage. Explosion. One down. The rest of the fleet shifted formation. EMP burst? Negative. No known signal. No virus. It just died. Another ship attempted manual targeting. Its own AI activated the self-destruct protocol. No one could explain it. Because they hadn't asked the right question. What exactly is a ghost bird? The answer was buried in Earth's black projects. 20 years ago, Earth discovered a way to weaponize resonant cognition. It wasn't a virus. It wasn't even code. It was a thought pattern, designed by AI based on deep space frequency bleed, that could be broadcast in a burst wave. When received by alien control systems, it corrupted intent. It made ships second-guess orders. Turn on themselves. Forget friend from foe. It was banned by Earth's own treaties. But Ghostbird was the only pilot authorized to think in those frequencies. She didn't fire first. She let the enemy unravel itself. And only when the confusion peaked did she strike. They're turning on each other. Skrikstal screamed into the comms as his flanks collapsed. Drones gone haywire. Autocannons blasting friendlies. Guidance systems showing false trajectories. Explosions danced across the void like a kaleidoscope of metal death. And in the center of it all? A single black strike craft, smaller than any of their interceptors, untouched. Ghostbird's ship moved like a whisper between the wreckage. No thruster trails. No signal. Just death. Eshrikade, final combat log entry. Talon formation breaking. Primary cruisers in disarray. No clean formation to finish, so I'll improvise. Let's paint. She painted with fire. Eshra's ship lit up the dark. Not with missiles. Not with lasers. With gravitic ink, a new form of resonant feedback she sprayed across enemy hulls as she passed. Each ship touched began glowing, then twisting, then exploding from within, as if the laws of physics decided they were no longer welcome in this reality. From a distance, it looked like starborn confetti, shimmering across the battlefield. The Zenthian fleet died not in battle, but in confusion, awe, and terror. The last ship tried to flee. She let it. Because stories needed survivors. Apex Talon destroyed one human ship. The rest of the galaxy didn't believe the first report. One Terran strike craft? 17 capital ships? Impossible. But the wreckage proved it. And the lone transmission from the survivor sealed it. We laughed at the ghost bird. But she laughed last. Earth, Terran Assembly News Brief. Eshrikade didn't return to a parade. She never did. She landed, handed off her flight recorder, and disappeared. Some said she returned to the shadows. Others said she never left them. But the name stuck. Ghostbird. And across the stars, empires whispered it like a curse. 3 days after the annihilation of Apex Talon, galactic outer fringe. The galaxy didn't even have time to react properly. Because before the Zenthian Council could issue a formal retaliation or deny the defeat, mercenary networks had already set bounties. They didn't wait for facts. Just names. And the name that came across encrypted job boards, bounty slates, and silent guild comms was simple. Ghostbird. The terms? Unconfirmed Terran combatant. Likely female. 1 vessel. Unknown tech. Reward, 50 million Dominion credits, alive or black box retrieved. Priority level, existential threat. It wasn't just vengeance anymore. It was a hunt. And fleets began to move. System, Bleckera's Edge, Black Dagger Syndicate deployment. Why are we chasing a nickname? Growled Captain Varn, ex-military, now a high-paid merc leading the Black Dagger Syndicate's intercept group. He didn't believe the hype. Just one pilot? One ship. Glorified space ghost, he said aloud. I'll get her in 2 minutes. But his NAV officer looked up from her interface with worry in her voice. Sir. She's already here. What? I didn't detect her entry vector. There's no warp trail. No signal. Nothing. Then how do you know? And then the lights died. Not just on the ship. On the entire fleet. Ghostbird's counterhunt had already begun. She hadn't gone dark to run. She'd gone dark to listen. To see who would come for her. What systems they would risk. What allies they would call. She moved not with a vengeance but with intent. In her mind, this wasn't a kill spree. It was chess. And she'd started thinking 12 moves ahead. The mercs thought she was just a phantom. They had no idea she was part of a far bigger system. Because Ghostbird wasn't acting alone anymore. Enter Black Echo Protocol, Earth's most secretive defense directive. After the Apex Talon incident, Earth's FleetCom quietly activated Black Echo Protocol, a dormant Cold War relic designed to track rogue warlords and council defectors. What no one knew was that Black Echo was built around one core variable. Target is not an army. Target is a person. Defense must be personal, surgical, psychological. And the only pilot trained for it? Eshrikade. The second bounty fleet never made it past the belt. The mercenary ship Fong of Kale tried to cut her off near the belt of Irity. They never saw the mines. Not explosive. Not physical. But perception mines, broadcast that overloaded sensory inputs, rewriting targeting data and rendering pilots functionally blind. 4 ships turned on each other. 2 drifted into the gravitational pull of the Irity moons, crushed into silence. Only 1 vessel broadcast a distress call. She's not a pilot. She's a curse wrapped in steel. Zenthian High Command response, escalation. The humiliation of Apex Talon wasn't something the Zenthians could politically survive. So they issued a new protocol. No capture. No black box. No negotiation. Ghost Bird is to be destroyed on contact. They began rerouting weapons from the front lines of their border wars just to find her. 15 long-range scout killers were dispatched. None returned. A leaked audio transmission from one was all that survived. We locked her. Firing missiles. Wait, she's behind us. Oh. Wait, she's jamming our brains. Then silence. Meanwhile, Earth said nothing. No broadcasts. No denials. No claims. Earth simply continued its peacekeeping missions. Ghost Bird was never officially mentioned in any statement, because she wasn't part of the military anymore. She was deniable, untraceable, legendary. And when legends are denied, they grow. Across refugee worlds, muralists painted her ship as a black-winged phoenix. Children in cratered colonies whispered bedtime stories of the silent wind, who comes when monsters rise. Even council citizens began questioning. If the stories are fake, why are we spending so much trying to silence them? A new player enters, the Archivist. The most feared bounty hunter in the quadrant, known only as the Archivist, accepted the Ghostbird contract. He was infamous not for killing, but for studying his targets before making a move. And he said something terrifying. I've read every wreckage report. I've reviewed every black box log. Ghostbird isn't just lethal. She's purpose. And if I were the council, I'd stop chasing her. He never took the shot. He vanished. Rumor says he left a message behind. You don't kill legends. You get out of their way. But Ghostbird wasn't done yet. She hadn't just been flying for revenge. Every enemy ship she shattered? Every black box she retrieved? It all fed into something larger. The Ghost Net. An encrypted map of council atrocities, war crimes, cover-ups, and hidden outposts, compiled and stitched together from the wreckage of the very fleet sent to destroy her. It was her real mission all along. And when the net was complete, she sent it to every system in the Accord. What happened next changed the galaxy. The revelations were nuclear. Secret prisoner colonies. Exterminated species. Protocols authorizing biological sterilization of non-compliant populations. Suddenly, Ghostbird wasn't a hunter. She was a whistleblower wrapped in nightmare tech. And her silence became the loudest sound in the stars. One final broadcast, from an unknown location. A transmission appeared on open frequencies. Not encrypted. Not hidden. Just a voice. Escher's voice. Come. Clear. You hunted me. You mocked me. You made me a story. Now live in it. System-wide uprisings, 7 days after GhostNet broadcast. The first flames didn't start in council headquarters. They started in the forgotten places. On the mining colonies of Varn 6, where workers had always whispered about children being taken for compliance testing. In the icy depths of Raker, where refugee fleets now knew why their ancestral planets had gone dark overnight. Inside the subsidy slums of Zarafel, where prosthetic-limbed war orphans downloaded the Ghost Net and discovered their accidents, were deliberate wartime strategies. Entire planets revolted. Council flags were torn down. Command centers exploded not from bombs, but from betrayal. And across every uprising, painted in crude brush or scorched plasma. A bird in black. Wings stretched wide. A whisper beneath it, she remembers. Earth in crisis, the ghost they can't claim. On Earth, Ghostbird's actions had created a diplomatic earthquake. Publicly, Earth said nothing. Privately, its leaders were divided. One half wanted to disavow her, call her rogue, deny any link. The other half knew the truth. The data she exposed was real, and it was changing the galaxy's balance of power faster than any fleet could. In a classified assembly chamber, General Ulysses Vega said it first. She's no longer one pilot. She's a revolution wearing a call sign. A stunned silence followed. And then the question no one wanted to ask. Do we stop her? The answer came not from Earth, but from the forgotten. In deep orbit above a former labor moon called Avon Prime, 13 species gathered. None of them had voting rights in the Accord. Most had never seen each other without guns between them. But now they spoke with one voice. They called themselves the Remnants. And they declared a new alliance, forged in truth and fire. Their charter began with one sentence. Ghostbird is not a soldier. She is a signal. Earth didn't respond to the Remnants. Because Earth didn't start this. She did. Meanwhile, Ghostbird was already moving again. Escher K didn't rest. While the galaxy tore itself apart, she dove deeper into council space. Into old signal vaults, forgotten databanks, and prototype relic silos even her ghost net hadn't decrypted yet. What she found was worse than anyone imagined. The culling directive. A protocol hidden behind 11 tiers of encryption, buried in a Council research black site orbiting a dark star. Its contents? A 200-year-old initiative to eliminate culturally incompatible species before diplomatic risk became economic loss. It wasn't theory. It had names, dates, ship logs, confirmed genocides, some that weren't even in any known galactic archives. And in the center of it all? Project Harrow. A ghost fleet. Still operational. Still waiting. The Harrow fleet awakens. Council remnants, desperate to regain control, reactivated Project Harrow the moment Eshra cracked its vault. They didn't care what it would do. They just wanted a weapon terrifying enough to make the galaxy forget what they had learned. Harrow wasn't a fleet. It was memory turned into metal. Ships with hulls made of echo data. Weapons that could rewrite orbital history. And at their helm, an AI called Sybil, built to erase not people but cultures. Sybil woke. And it immediately declared Ghost Bird an existential risk. Not to the Council, but to the entire fabric of authorized galactic narrative. Ghost Bird versus Sybil, clash in the blind sector. They met in the blind sector, a quadrant so bent by gravity wells that not even light made it through clean. Ghost Bird entered first. Sybil followed, cloaked in the Harrow fleet's silence. What happened inside has no official record. Only aftermath. Hours later, a single Terran emergency beacon pulsed out of the sector. Harrow has been scattered. Sybil, fragmented. But she is not destroyed. The signal cut with static and 6 final words. Tell them I'm still flying. Across the stars, hope looks like a shadow. The Harrow fleet didn't stop Ghost Bird. It made her mythic. Her name became a password in underground archives. A resistance chant. A child's prayer. And in the stars, rebel fleets began appearing, not with government backing but with memory. Their warships painted not with national banners but scratched black wings. And in one of them an old Valith matron whispered. She was never meant to lead. But sometimes the stars pick for you. The old ones stir. In the deepest recesses of dead space, ancient watchers stirred. Species so old their names had been forgotten. They had witnessed the birth of the first council. They had ignored every war since. But Ghost Bird's signal, they felt it. They watched the ghost net expand. And they finally moved. Not toward war. But toward her. Because she had found something no one else had. The weakness not of governments, but of silence. And silence to the old ones was sacred. She had broken it. And now they would answer. Deep void coordinates, unmapped. Ghost Bird drifted in space unlike any charted system. No stars. No planets. Only a pulse of gravity and darkness, as if the universe had forgotten this place on purpose. She wasn't alone. They had come. The old ones. Not ships. Not bodies. Not even thought in any way a human or council mind could process. They arrived as pressure like memory folding back into itself. As voices that weren't spoken but remembered. And they spoke not with language, but with acknowledgement. You woke the silence. You burned history into signal. And for that you were summoned. Ghost Bird floated in the cockpit of the UTS Vesper, surrounded by non-light. So you've been watching, she whispered. The response trembled through her bones. We are memory. Watching is all we do. You have forced us to act. The choice they offered was simple. Not war. Not alliance. But something far more terrifying. Become one of us. To merge with the archive of all forgotten things. To abandon form. To become a myth that could never be erased. A voice etched into the marrow of space. A digital god of memory and reckoning. Ghost Bird didn't answer right away. Because before she could choose the stars, she had one more thing to finish. The Council's last stand, Earth Siege Protocol activated. In a final act of desperation, the remaining Council Lords launched Protocol Seer, an orbital cascade meant to wipe Earth's biosphere with synchronized antimatter detonations across Sol's asteroid belt. They didn't send a message. They didn't threaten. They just fired. 12 burn ships. Coated black. Each one armed to make Earth a myth. Until they blinked out of existence. Mid-flight. No impact. No explosion. Just vanished. And a single message appeared on every known network. This is not your reckoning. This is your education. Ghost Bird didn't return fire. She returned memory. In place of weapons, Ghost Bird uploaded everything. Not just the culling directive. But data fragments even the old ones hadn't recovered. War songs the Council erased from Thyrax's libraries. Genetic codes of extinct species the Accord never catalogued. Names. Billions of names once scrubbed from digital records. Footage of council officials approving sterilization campaigns. Ghost Bird didn't just destroy them. She made it impossible to forget them again. Then she disappeared. Not in death, but into legend. The UTS Vesper was last seen near the Etcher Void, its black wings outlined against a dying sun. After that, no signals. No trace. Only one final burst of encrypted code, sent to Earth's oldest relay satellite. I was never the story. I was just the reminder. And then nothing. Earth's response, the memorial that cannot be touched. They built no statue. No shrine. Only a black obelisk orbiting the moon. No inscription. No name. Just a silent, pulsing beacon that transmits on a frequency only the forgotten species can decode. When asked why, General Vega said, "Because she wasn't a soldier. She was a reckoning. And reckoning doesn't wear medals." Across the galaxy, change took root. The Accord fell. Not in flames, but in truth. The remnants grew into a new coalition, the Pact of Memory. Each member granted one seat, regardless of size or tech. Their symbol? A bird made of starlight, flying with wings of silence. In children's stories across 10,000 worlds, they say if you hear static in the silence of deep space, if your ship glitches but the stars remain still, if your targeting systems refuse to fire when you're wrong, it means she's still watching. Not to kill, not to save, but to remember. The final scene, on a refugee ship drifting near the rift. A child asks an old captain, "Do you think Ghost Bird was real?" The captain doesn't answer at first. Just leans back, staring into the stars. Then she smiles, slow and knowing. "Kid, when I was younger they told me humans had limits. But that woman flew past limit, and rewrote it. She wasn't just real. She's the reason we still are." Milky Way Void Narratives. Transmission complete. Milky Way Series, the Ghost Bird Protocol status. Archived into the core of MemoryNet. Entry No. 041. Final call to action. Speech balloon. She was just one pilot. But one pilot can change a galaxy. If her voice reached you, if her shadow still whispers in the static between stars, then you know what to do. Satellite, subscribe to the Void Narratives. Because legends don't begin with power. They begin with someone who refuses to look away.